Hey guys, just getting started here, and we'll share this link in the Telegram group and then be able to go through everything. So, we'll give everyone a little bit of time to join in, and yeah, look forward to answering a bunch of the questions that have been asked and providing any more clarity that's needed. Exciting stuff happening, and yeah, I think a lot of pieces are connecting together here for adbank. Hey, Ant, welcome. Let's see who else has joined. Okay, so Ant, you were the fast one today. My audio and video all good on your end, Ant? Well, while we're waiting on people, make sure the logistics are all good. Thanks. Shy. I know you guys were disappointed that I don't have the Angelo glasses on, but yeah, I'll try and keep it as exciting as he does. All right, so we got a few more people coming. Welcome everyone that joined. Feel free to drop anything in the questions on the side. I'm not sure what Angelo's peak numbers were for an AMA, so we'll wait to see if we can get above that for him. Have a little friendly internal adbank competition on which live stream gets the most views. So far he's winning, but we'll give it another minute and then get going. Shakir. Not offended if the H is in there or not. Not ever really sure how it started without the H, but yeah, save the letter. All right. Well, we'll Julia, welcome. We'll get going. No Angelo today. He's still got the handful of stuff to deal with from last weekend. But yeah, I know he's in Telegram, and also got some calls with some of the leads that have been pouring in since ad week. So plan for today is to talk through a bunch of the questions that got brought up. Make sure oh, Kelsey, welcome. Thanks. Yeah, we'll go through a bunch of the questions from the week, and yeah, happy to dig into the ones that we can more, and and then we'll see what else the community wants to chat about, and if there's any other questions, and if not, we'll talk a bit about the some of the exciting stuff in the pipeline, and try and keep this to half an hour or so. So I'll rip through the questions that got brought up, expand on any that I feel are relevant, talk to the ones that I can, and if I skip any, they're all still available, and will be available in Telegram if anyone wants to dig into them. So source of a bunch of these questions were community asking for some clarity around strategy, and I'll just sort of start out with a general statement about we always try and be as transparent as possible. And I know you guys have sort of seen that and appreciated that. And whenever you sense that it doesn't exist, it's like, hey, what's going on? And so what I can say is that while we've been sort of like head down deploying on what we set out in the white paper, achieved a remarkable amount of that really ahead of schedule from what we had specified in the white paper, and are now at the stage of figuring out which is that sort of lever that we pulled on now that has had the most impact, and we're going to keep pushing on that path and aligning both the team and the 2019 all around that. There's changes that get made, and so that's what I think what you guys are sensing, and part of this communication plus the communication plan for next week is to really kind of lay that out, and a bunch of the people on this call are helping with some of that input, so really appreciate that. So I'll jump into the questions now. Is adbank registered in Canada? So yes, adbank Inc. is registered in Canada, and it's I think unique in crypto. Some upsides and some downsides to that. One of what I believe is the upside is that it doesn't create this odd incentive misalignment where a project will have the offshore entity that has done a token sale and then an onshore entity that does the work and is really the operating engine of the business, but use just the shell to do the token sale. I definitely understand why projects have gone that route, but my constant question has always been how do we ensure incentive alignment, and my belief is that having it all cleanly under one structure does that. So adbank tokens and the sale was run by adbank Inc. And Canada and the US were excluded using best in class KYC procedures to ensure that no Canadians or Americans participated in the token sale. Question around privacy protection on the domain. So yeah, adbank, if anybody has registered a domain, which I know a bunch of people in here are kind of in the digital advertising space, you get spammed relentlessly if you register a domain without WHOIS protection. And so we had WHOIS protection, and that often uses a third party. In this case, that third party that provides that protection is from Panama. So the domain is not owned by a company in Panama. A company in Panama provides the privacy protection for the domain. So any legal discussion, any legal strategy discussion is obviously best to not be broadly communicated. So anything that's sort of heavily focused around that, we'll kind of avoid. Is Intergalactic Ads a separate company tied into adbank, and how does it sort of help drive the ecosystem? What are those objectives of Intergalactic Ads? So Intergalactic Ads is within adbank Inc. The goal of Intergalactic Ads is to drive adoption of the platform. So eat our own dog food, use the tech that we built to run an ad network. So we drive adoption of the platform, increase awareness of adbank within other crypto projects and publishers showcasing what we have built, and then have crypto publishers involved in the ecosystem and earning adbank tokens, and then use those relationships that we have with all of these publishers to help share good news about adbank. So really try and inject ourselves into the consciousness of other crypto projects and use that awareness to help amplify news about adbank. Same question for acquisitions. So are acquisitions held within adbank, and why do the acquisitions? I think is kind of one of the questions. And so yes, any acquisitions held within adbank Inc., consistent with what we specified in the white paper. And the goal is to test converting an existing ad network onto the adbank platform using our API, showcase the benefits of that conversion, and incentivize other ad networks to convert. And so really, how do we not just sort of build a better mousetrap, field of dreams approach, and hope that they will come, but how do we go and take a more aggressive approach to disruption? And that's what we specified from the start, and we are sort of relentlessly executing on. Why delete the AMAs? Few reasons. My belief is Angelo kind of came up with that strategy because he likes speaking with you guys, and he found that if they were left up forever, the attendance was worse. So Angelo didn't want to be lonely. I think on the AMAs is the real reason. But the other reasons are, if you have a weekly AMA always on your feed in YouTube, then it's burying the evergreen content that you want people to be able to see. And so that was a key one. And then the views after 48 hours or after a week on those AMAs was almost nil. And so deleting them encouraged more people to be on the weekly AMA, and also didn't bury the evergreen content that we want to be able to get to the top of our YouTube stream. Yeah, and why sort of push people to this AMA structure? The community of adbank is amazing. We are appreciative of it always, especially when you compare it to other projects where it's sort of nonstop nonsense. We really appreciate the quality questions that come from the community. Managing the expectations of communication is tricky on both directions. And so we try to establish that each week, ask your questions, they will get answered. Happy to do that. And it also creates some efficiencies for people that are trying to keep up on the project, to know where to go to get those questions asked and answered versus trying to drop it in Telegram, but then it might get buried by 30 other questions by the time one of the core team members wakes up to see it. So this is that sort of structured approach to ensuring consistent communication and any question you have getting it brought forward and answered. The token economics story. So that's going to be like we sort of I mentioned in Telegram, but that's going to be a kind of next week bigger communication talking about what's coming with 2019. Yeah, I'm excited for that, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that next week. How are the original patent and the latest revision related? So within the white paper, there was a provisional patent that had been filed, and that was included. And then there was recently the announcement of, hey, the upgraded patent has been submitted. And a question came up is like, are those the same thing? What's the difference? So the way it works is you file a provisional that gives you priority date for 1 year, and then you can put in any other information and work that you do during that time into that patent so that it's in a stronger case. So the plan was always provisional, do a lot of work, and then submit. So that latest version has been submitted. It was submitted just a couple weeks ago, and we'll be having a tech update that goes into it in more detail. The application, right now, the original one can be found. The upgraded one will be available, shared by us within sort of a short period of time, and then it will be available on the U.S. patent database within 6 months from it being submitted for anyone to see. What technology does the application secure for adbank? Yeah, I'll put it sort of embarrassingly simply, but it's the method of leveraging machine learning to monitor transactions to identify on blockchain to identify potential ad fraud. A lot more to it than that, obviously, but I would not do it justice talking in this forum. No delay in the token economics piece. That's all part of the plan to kind of communicate that next phase in the course of 2 weeks. So this week was kind of get these questions answered and then lay out that sort of 20, like this kind of like catch up on where we're at and what the status is. And then next week we'll be talking about the exciting stuff that's coming. So there's a handful of business questions. Great questions. What is the latest on the One Milk, Two Sugars campaign? They did some great work in a difficult time for crypto to get press, or blockchain tech to get press. Secured an awesome article in Forbes talking about our partnership with the Austrian Tourism Board, ANTO, and Red Bull as a publisher. Successful pilot. Great coverage, very positive, talking about all sides, and what we've sort of determined with One Milk, Two Sugars as a PR strategy is that it's difficult to get sort of that ongoing press, but those sort of unique firsts are great times to go out and put a push on, and so they're still active with us, and we're working on they're still actively looking for opportunities for us, and we're working on a structure for moving forward that has them when we have that sort of the big news, the Red Bull Austria kind of news. How do we get them involved to help get that word out about what we've done? How is the big Fortune 500 company? So I think that came from a Fortune 500 level quality level comment about who the pilot was with, and so I'm sure we can all agree that Red Bull as a pilot partner is a lot better than 90% of the Fortune 500s in the digital advertising space. So I think that's where that comment came from. But sort of as a result of that pilot and a result of some other work, work at Adweek with Angelo, Kelsey, and Joni speaking at it, we have some very active involvement with a bunch of pilots right now, potential pilots right now, and yeah, looking kind of similar to the discussion for next week, but looking at bringing on some additional team members to handle that influx of requests. So yeah, good news on that front for sure. What is the latest on Q&I client pilots? Yeah, still very active. Not their clients are awesome. Not the world dominating names that we have right now knocking on our door. And so we're just prioritizing aligning the team and prioritizing our resources around those opportunities. Any chance for further business with Austria Tourism Body and Red Bull? Yeah, everyone was happy with the pilot, and certainly Anto in particular has expressed some interest for some follow-up pilots when some of the new tech is ready, and no immediate plans booked, but that conversation is open and there for the taking when we're ready. And question about the crypto partnerships, and I think everyone in the crypto space knows there's a lot of these crypto partnerships that are nothing more than an empty announcement to perpetuate. And we have been clear that we don't do that. There's always a direct tie to the ecosystem that we're working on. In the case of the pilots in case of the partnerships that we have established, our partnerships have involved the other project funds acquiring adbank tokens on the open market and using them on our platform. So we're unique in that world of there's a benefit to them of and we're happy to do more. We're open, open for more of them. I'd say that's for sure. What business is currently running on the platform and creating profit or loss? So all parts of the business fall under adbank Inc. The business is absolutely like most blockchain. Hopefully all token sale businesses it is operating at a loss. We are burning down. The good news, and I think it's talked about later, but we're unique in that there is a sustainable core within the business. And so unlike, again, I think some other projects that will have a harder time of staying sustainable and relevant depending on how long crypto winter lasts and how long their funds last. We have that core to retreat to. Not that we are, but that is all there's no scenario where adbank stops. We continue to be able to push forward. There's no scenario that adbank stops due to, call it, too long of a crypto winter. So there's three main categories around what businesses is currently running on the platform. So there's the blockchain. So yeah, a couple questions came up. How does adbank aim to stay profitable at the same time while aiming at 0%? So the target is is infinite runway. So aiming at 0 is sustainable, and then continuing to push on the development. I mean, this is a crypto adoption within digital advertising is absolutely a long-term play. Blockchain adoption in the short term is wanting to be tested right now. So it's exciting in that those two can fit together and fit together very nicely, where we can continue to push and increase both sort of market share, mind share as a ad tech company within the blockchain space while staying relevant. Other question, how many companies are you using the exchange to purchase ADB, and how many companies are you purchasing the tokens for? I don't have the exact numbers. I can say that there's been 19 crypto projects. All funds have flowed in, and or all adbank tokens used in those campaigns were purchased on secondary market. So I'll get back to sort of what business are currently running on the platform. Talked about the blockchain side. eSig Media is the acquired vaping industry business. Pilot. So yeah, we trying and not pre-announcing any pilots. I know that sort of caused some grief in the summer, where some hospital trips and some broken arms interrupted the schedule that we thought that was going to be executed on. But yeah, I can say that our pipeline has never been more filled with remarkable names. It's a pretty cool experience to kind of see your email and say, well, that company saying interested. That's awesome. The pilots are the pilots, especially and so the question was, what about the pilots? Are we doing the same thing that we just talked about with the crypto projects? And what I would say is that the pilots were happy to structure pilots that get them done. I think that's optimal for the ecosystem at this stage. And whatever, we're kind of in the mode of whatever it takes to get these companies using our platform. We're happy to resolve any objections that they come up with. And I think that's absolutely the right thing for the ecosystem long term. Adbank platform provides savings and transparency, and is that holding? So it's like, one of the big hypothesis was advertisers are going to care about transparency, and publishers are going to care about transparency, and they care about cost savings. What I would say is that transparency, we found that the SMBs, like the smaller and medium-sized companies, even in the sort of the fringe industries, they don't care. They don't care if their money is going to fraud as long as they're making more money. Oversimplification, some absolutely do, but that's in general what we have seen. That was somewhat expected, but also we were hoping that there'd be more interest from the smaller players to get the benefit of transparency. What we weren't expecting was the demand from the large companies. We thought it was kind of a fringe industry first and then work our way into the big companies. But what we've seen is kind of the other way around, that the larger companies are saying, we need a solution to it. Like, we see the problem, we understand the problem, we need a solution. Show us what you guys do. Show us what this platform does. Show us what the blockchain can do to benefit us. Answered that. What is success criteria? Great question, and it kind of went on a bit of a rant here that hopefully you guys will kind of bear with me on here as well. But we've seen that adbank Inc., adbank token ecosystem, they're one and the same. For adbank, it is number one, execute within our values, and we'll talk about that in a second. And number two is achieve tech roadmap, driving increasing adoption of the ADB ecosystem. That's the focus. We have different goals around those, but that's the focus. And that's what we align the tech around. That's what we align the new strategies around. That's what we align the team around. Is to sort of whatever the newest, or whatever, not even newest, whatever the existing highest opportunity is, to pursue that. We're getting aligned around it. So in terms of values, I don't think we've shared this, and so I'm happy to have. We have maybe it's monthly, every other month. It's kind of a group, or full team kind of get together and a little event. And one thing that we try and make sure gets covered at that meeting is talking about these values and making sure that they get sort of embedded into our process. And so that's transparency, both internally and within our community. And we know that standard has been the standard that has been set. Then the expectations are high, and we appreciate continually being held to that. Meritocracy, so results rewarded within the team. Compliance, so we assume everything we do and say is seen and heard, and I know that can be frustrating when we don't answer some questions. Integrity, this really should be the top one, but we do what we say we will, always. What we said we would do in the white paper, it's what we're executing on. What we say we would have done and is happening is what's happening. Simple plans, fast actions, and adapt to the data. We know a roadmap that is like 3 years out, all locked down, they're either geniuses and have incredible foresight, or they're lying to themselves that this is that they understand the world, how the world's going to be in 3 years, and the impact of their business decisions between now and then. So we don't pretend like we know what the world's going to look like in 3 years. Blockchain is going to disrupt digital advertising. I have no doubt about that. I'll make that statement, and we need to be ones that are sort of moving fast, hitting where we can, and adapting to the data. Team first goes to without saying. Resource constrained, so I'm cheap, and I try and operate the company under that philosophy. Resource constrained barrier busting versus unconstrained growth. So I think this shows up as well in some of the the constant the constant realignment of the team and resources is that we're not sort of we're strongly attempting to not have people that are underutilized and continually trying to make sure they're the right people in the right seat at the right time. Not afraid of the grind, and which we know it will be, and only tokens with a business and true utility will survive. And then finally, Canadian values, friendly, and we say sorry when we F up. Last question, I think. Let's see. Would the American campaign increase awareness of adbank to the crypto community investors? So intergalactic ads is really that base layer of work that goes in where we are achieving multiple aims, but one of which is to really establish connections with as many publishers in the space as possible, such that when we have the big news that we get by pushing the tech forward, that we can spread that word within the larger, call it the larger crypto community. That's just sort of a piece of it. And then there's another part of that strategy that I won't chat about now, but that's kind of a next week piece where we're aligning around kind of the ability to get additional actors involved in the adbank ecosystem. Why does there seem to be a high turnover with key names? There high turnovers. I mean, obviously, it's always relative. Definitely high for what we have had is certainly high turnover for a lot of places, for sort of startups that are operating under a resource constrained model versus just hire anyone and sort of unconstrained. I'd say we're kind of in that normal range, and I think every move has put us into a stronger position for tackling the next challenges that we're going to run into. Yeah, so happy to see if there's any other questions that people have that I didn't answer. Yeah, again, anything that was sort of on that legal strategy side, I'm not offering, for obvious reasons, not answering. And anything on the token economics 2019 tech vision, that's kind of a next week discussion. But this is kind of the the way I see this is like the get up to date AMA, and then next week is the hey, here's what's coming AMA. So yeah, happy to hang around here and yeah, blow hearts at Tobe. So yeah, happy to hang around and answer any other questions that people have. Yeah, fair question. And so question is, how do we increase, I mean, I'll paraphrase, but how do we increase awareness within crypto? And the belief, again, is sort of stacking the partnerships, stacking the publisher connections through the platform, and working on continuing to have that presence out in the community of, Angelo and Kelsey have been, over the last year, I'm not sure how many miles they've flown, but it's been a lot to interact within the broader crypto community. So that's kind of the laying that groundwork such that when the time comes, whether it's, whenever, don't want to talk market, but whenever that time comes, that we have been consistently out there, have all of the connections, and we'll have real world application news to continue to share. And this is why Kelsey's far more eloquent than I am. Yeah, we're focusing on real world use cases to gain real long-term love in crypto. So yeah, exactly what I said, but just in one sentence versus a paragraph. Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Doesn't show if anyone is typing, so I'll give it a minute. Okay. Great. Well, again, we have the structure to answer any questions. Hopefully this has been useful in sort of getting an insight into, again, kind of the getting up to speed on where we are. And then, yeah, happy to chat again kind of next week about what's next in 2019 for adbank and the ecosystem. Appreciate, thank you to the community. We really, yeah, we are really fortunate to have kind of the community leadership that we have within adbank. Even when there's disagreements, it usually stays civil, and that's really appreciated. It allows us to kind of focus on getting the answers to people and being as transparent as we can be without needing to focus on dealing with crap. So appreciate that, and so thank you to you guys. And if there's any other questions, happy to answer. Thanks, guys.